I thought she was just my best friend's confidant, until the day her smile felt like home. You are watching YouTube channel Lily's Loving Echoes. If you like our story, please like and subscribe. Press the bell icon to get notified of our upcoming videos. It starts on a quiet afternoon, the kind where nothing dramatic is supposed to happen. He's simply helping Daryl carry a few bags of groceries into her beachside home, something he's done dozens of times over the years. She's always been part of his world, warm, grounded, effortlessly graceful in that way only someone comfortable in her own skin can be. To him, she's been many things: his best friend's trusted confidant, a guiding voice, someone who has always seen more in him than he lets others notice. But today, something feels different. Not in what she says, but in the way she looks at him when the door swings shut behind them. She hands him a bag, their fingers brushing. Ordinarily he wouldn't think twice. But the brief warmth of her touch lingers, a small, unintentional pause that sends a strangely steady shiver through him. She laughs softly about almost dropping the bag, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Yet her eyes, bright and thoughtful, stay on his a moment too long. Long enough for him to feel it. He tries to shake it off, focusing on unpacking the groceries. But he keeps noticing things he never allowed himself to really see before: the soft curve of her smile when she's amused, the way her voice lowers when she's speaking just to him, the faint citrus scent of her hand lotion that drifts close when she leans over the counter. While arranging the fruit bowl, she thanks him, genuinely, with that quiet sincerity she reserves for only a few people. When she gently places a hand on his forearm, giving it a small, grateful squeeze, something shifts inside him. The touch isn't bold. It isn't suggestive. It's simply warm, familiar, but suddenly charged. He tells himself it's nothing, that is imagining the warmth, the closeness, the soft ease with which she moves around him. But when she steps near him to reach a cabinet, her shoulder lightly grazing his, he feels a flutter of awareness he can't explain away. He walks out of her kitchen that day knowing one thing for certain: something between them has changed. Or maybe, something inside him finally noticed. The days that follow unfold quietly, almost without intention. He doesn't mean to spend more time at her place. It just happens. A quick visit becomes an hour. An hour becomes an evening. She always has a reason for him to stay a little longer: a loose hinge on the porch door, a new tea she wants him to try, a story from her early career she remembers only when he's sitting across from her. There's no rush between them. Just a warm, slow closeness that sneaks up on him. One evening, the ocean wind is stronger than usual, sweeping across her porch with a cool bite. She brings out a soft, oversized blanket, cream-colored, worn at the edges, draped over her arm. He reaches for it, assuming she'll hand it to him, but instead she settles beside him on the bench and places the blanket across both their shoulders. "Here," she says with a gentle smile. "It's warmer this way." He freezes for a moment, not out of discomfort, but because the closeness is unexpectedly intimate. Their shoulders press together beneath the blanket, her warmth radiating through the soft fabric. Their knees brush lightly when she shifts, her hand instinctively resting on her lap just inches from his. The silence that settles between them isn't awkward. It's something far more dangerous, comfortable enough to make him forget every boundary he's supposed to remember. As the sky deepens into a soft navy, she leans her head against his shoulder, not heavily, just enough for him to feel the weight of her presence. He can smell the faint trace of her shampoo, a clean, ocean-like scent that makes it impossible to focus on anything else. "You always bring a calmness with you," she murmurs, her voice low, as if the wind might scatter her words if she spoke any louder. He doesn't know how to respond, so he stays still, breathing carefully, afraid that even the slightest movement might break the moment. When she finally lifts her head, she looks at him with a softness that steals the rhythm from his chest. Gratitude, affection, something more hesitant, more unspoken. That night, when he leaves her porch, the warmth of her leaning against him follows him down the walkway, quiet, persistent, and impossible to ignore. He tells himself it harmless. The warmth, the comfort, the softness of their moments together, none of it is intentional. None of it means anything. She's older, more experienced, someone who has lived through decades of moments he's still learning to understand. She carries a world of history behind her eyes, a maturity wrapped in calm confidence. And him. He's still figuring out who he wants to become. So he tries to step back, just a little. Not enough to be noticeable, but enough to remind himself where the line is. But the universe, or maybe she, has other plans. Every time he creates space, she fills it effortlessly. Not with bold moves, but with the kind of small gestures that slip under defenses without trying. She touches his chest lightly when she laughs at something he says, her palm warm through the thin fabric of his shirt. When she thanks him, she says his name a little slower, her voice softer, like she's letting the syllables linger on her tongue. He starts noticing the way her eyes soften when she looks at him, not in a romantic, sweeping way, but in something gentler. Something that feels like she sees a part of him no one else bothers to look for. It makes him uneasy, in the most unsettlingly comforting way. He tries avoiding eye contact, but even that becomes a challenge. Because every time her gaze meets his, he feels something shift in his chest. A quiet recognition. A pull he doesn't know how to label. One afternoon, while helping her organize books, she places a hand on his wrist. Brief, warm, steady. "Don't overthink it," she says with a smile, not realizing how those words land like a spark against dry ground. Overthink? He's doing nothing but that. Is he imagining the tension, filling in blanks that aren't really there? Is she just being kind, comfortable, naturally affectionate? Or does she feel the same unspoken warmth that seems to hover every time they stand just a little too close? It's the confusion that haunts him the most, not the tension itself, but the possibility that the feelings he's so carefully keeping hidden might not be entirely one-sided. He doesn't dare name the connection forming between them. Not yet. Not when the line is still invisible, fragile, and shifting under their feet. The night it happens isn't planned. It begins quietly, rain sliding down her windows in soft, steady lines, the kind of weather that wraps the world in a hush. He's stopped by just to drop something off, but she invites him in with a gentle smile and a small gesture toward the warmth of her living room. She brews tea, her usual ritual when the world feels heavy. The scent of chamomile and citrus fills the room. She hands him a mug and sits beside him on the couch, closer than she normally does. Their knees touch lightly. She doesn't move away. For a long time, neither of them speaks. The rain does the talking, soft, rhythmic, comforting. It's her voice that finally breaks the silence, quiet and unguarded. "Do you ever have days where you feel invisible?" She says it with a careful steadiness, as if revealing something she rarely allows herself to say aloud. He turns slightly, giving her his full attention. Her posture is relaxed, but her eyes tell a different story, something deeper, something tender. She talks about growing older in a world that always wants the new version of everyone. About moments of loneliness that slip into her life without warning. About always being the strong, steady person for others, yet rarely allowing herself to lean on anyone. There's no drama in her voice, just honesty. A quiet vulnerability that softens every word. He listens, not trying to fix anything. Just listening. That alone seems to unravel something in her. Her hand finds his, slowly, naturally, her fingers sliding over his with a warmth that steadies both their breaths. The touch isn't accidental. It's deliberate, gentle, seeking comfort, or understanding, or maybe just closeness. She tells him he's become someone she trusts without walls. Someone who sees her in a way that makes her feel less alone. He squeezes her hand, a soft, grounding gesture, and she exhales like she's been holding her breath for days. When she looks at him, there's no hesitation, just gratitude, affection, and a flicker of something she's afraid to name. The room feels smaller. The distance between them, emotional and physical, shrinks until it's barely there. And for the first time, neither of them pretend not to notice. The sun is melting into the horizon when it happens, one of those soft, golden evenings where everything feels suspended in warm light. They're on her porch again, a place that has slowly become the quiet center of their connection. The air is cool, the ocean breathing steadily in front of them. She's fussing with the collar of his shirt, insisting it's folded unevenly. He laughs, trying to brush it off, but she steps closer, rising onto the balls of her feet just slightly, her fingers smoothing the fabric with deliberate gentleness. What should have been a quick adjustment becomes a lingering moment. Her palms rest at the back of his neck longer than necessary. Warm, steady, impossibly tender. Something inside him stutters. Her hands slide from his collar to his shoulders in one slow, unhurried motion. It's not bold. It's not flirtatious. It's something deeper, like she's memorizing the shape of him through touch alone. He turns instinctively toward her, and suddenly they're standing face to face, breath to breath. Close enough that he can see the faint reflection of the sunset in her eyes. Close enough that he feels the warmth of her exhale brushing lightly against his cheek. For a heartbeat, neither of them moves. The world narrows to two people and the soft hush of the evening. Her eyes flick down, just a glance, toward his lips. Quick, uncertain, but unmistakable. His pulse spikes. All he has to do is lean in. Just a small movement. Just an inch. Their connection tightens like a drawn string, delicate and electrifying. But then, she steps back. Not abruptly. Not out of fear. She moves with a quiet, graceful hesitation, offering him a small smile that carries more emotion than words could ever hold. A smile that says, "I feel this too, but I'm scared of what it means." "Some feelings," she whispers, her voice warm but unsteady, "take time to understand." He nods, even though part of him is aching to close the space between them again. He understands more than she realizes. The timing, the uncertainty, the carefulness neither of them wants to break. But even with the distance she creates, the moment has already changed everything. The tension between them is no longer imagined. It's real, unspoken, and impossible to pull back from. That night feels different from the ones before it. The air inside her living room is still, warm, almost too quiet, like the space itself is waiting for them to finally say what they've been circling around for weeks. She's sitting on the edge of the couch, hands wrapped loosely around a cup of tea that has long since cooled. He takes a seat beside her, not too close, but not far enough to pretend things haven't shifted. She's the one who breaks the silence first. "I need to say something, before this becomes something we can't control." Her voice is steady, but her eyes are hesitant, almost protective of the truth she's about to share. She tells him she cares about him, not the casual, friendly kind of caring she offers freely, but something deeper. Something fragile. Something that scares her. She admits she's tried to ignore it, to rationalize it, to fit her feelings into neat categories that make sense alongside her age, her experiences, her past. But nothing fits. And pretending isn't working anymore. He listens, heart beating too fast, not because he's surprised by her confession, but because hearing it aloud makes everything undeniably real. When she looks down, as if embarrassed by her own honesty, he gently lifts her chin with his hand, softly, giving her every chance to pull away. She doesn't. He tells her he's been fighting the same feelings. He worried she'd think he was misreading her kindness. He worried about the age gap, about what people would say, about whether it was fair to her. But none of that outweighs the way she makes him feel seen, grounded, and understood in ways no one else ever has. Her eyes soften, shimmering with emotion she's tried so hard to hide. "I don't want to hurt you," she whispers. "You're not," he says quietly. "You're the only person who's ever made me feel like I can be myself without trying." He reaches out, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear, a touch that's careful, slow, reverent. Instead of leaning away, she leans into it, eyes closing briefly as if letting herself rest in the moment. There are no grand declarations, no sudden decisions, just two people finally telling the truth after weeks of unspoken tension. And in that honesty, something between them settles, not fixed, not final, but undeniably real. A week later, the air carries the gentle scent of salt and sand. The ocean stretches before them, waves rolling softly, reflecting the amber light of a fading sun. They walk side by side along the shoreline, the world around them quiet except for the rhythm of their steps and the occasional call of distant seabirds. She stops suddenly, turning to face him. There's a calm certainty in her eyes now, the kind that comes only from hard-won honesty and deep reflection. Without hesitation, she reaches out, taking his hand. Her fingers thread naturally through his, as if they were always meant to fit together this way. He feels a jolt, a steady, warm pulse that travels through him. The earlier hesitations, the moments of unspoken longing, the fear of boundaries, they all melt away in that one simple gesture. Her touch is firm, confident, and yet gentle, holding him without words, inviting him into something they've both been quietly craving. They stand together, shoulders brushing, the ocean breeze wrapping around them like a soft blanket. He feels the subtle rise and fall of her chest against his, the warmth of her hand steady in his. She looks up at him and smiles, a smile that's neither tentative nor cautious, but full, real, and unafraid. "I want to move forward, slowly, honestly, together," she says, her voice calm but filled with emotion. He squeezes her hand gently, pulling her closer into a steady embrace. She rests her head against his chest, letting out a soft, contented sigh. For a moment, time feels suspended. There is no need for words. The connection between them has been spoken long before this, through touches, glances, and shared silences. They stay like that, bathed in the golden glow of the sunset, feeling the simplicity and the gravity of what they have chosen. They are not perfect. Life will test them. But they are real. And for the first time, neither of them wants to pull away. In the soft hush of the evening, on the quiet edge of the world they've built together, they stand hand in hand, hearts aligned, knowing one undeniable truth: they choose each other. Fully. Quietly. Completely. No hesitation. No uncertainty. Just love, slow and steady, finally allowed to bloom.